Straight Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
They had. There we go.
I'm Isaiah Hartenstein, and I'm down to dunk.
I hope, savior of basketball is one.
Well, the Dortcher Chamber has been going pretty well.
I'm Aaron Wiggins, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Chet Holmgren, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Mark Dagnall, and I'm down to dunk.
He just does a big smile and
I feel blessed by God to be here down to dunk, be here with you.
I'm Alex Caruso, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm AJ Mitchell, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Isaiah Joe, and I'm down to dunk.
Oh, jeez. Are you going to sing it good enough for me to guess it, or?
Panhandle. Jeez. I'm tweaking.
Name 2 famous Oklahomans.
Myself and Jalen Williams.
Is that a crazy answer?
All my friends call me Bob.
Where's Rachel?
Unique story. You lived a whole life.
Plain.
This is Kason Wallace, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
True blood Oklahoma.
That's right.
Pretty exciting, if you ask me.
This is J-Dub, world champion J-Dub, and I'm down to dunk. And eat burgers.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. Before I get to my good friend, Derek Parker, I want to tell you about 2 other friends of mine, Aaron and Drew Reese of Shelter Insurance, spelled R-U-I-Z, R-U-N-Z is the question you should be asking yourself right now. And maybe you have car insurance, maybe you have home insurance, and you know what? Maybe it stinks. Maybe it's too expensive. Maybe the people that are giving you insurance are not Thunder fans. You know what? You can call Aaron or Drew or text them today and tell them how excited you are about this win against the Nuggets, and they will be just as excited. Okay, that's what you can get with Aaron and Drew Reese. Great guys. I know them both personally. Amazing dudes. So support the people that support Down to Dunk. Give Aaron and Drew Reese a call today, 405-773-5500, or Drew, 405-478-7714 today. With me on a Sunday night, almost Monday, is my good friend Derek Parker. Derek, what's up?
Yo. How about that basketball today?
Oh my goodness. That was a surprising game on many levels. Derek, I want you to tell me, how many times has Kason Wallace scored 20 points in an NBA basketball game? Can you tell me that?
My head goes 3. I can't give reasoning. There's no fact behind this whatsoever, but I'm going to guess 3.
Okay. Counting tonight, which one, he has not scored 20 points in a game until tonight. I believe the answer is exactly 3. 3 times.
I've always been a good guesser. I don't know what that says about me, but
it's an amazing guess. So his rookie season, he scored 22 points, which was his previous career high, by the way, in a win against Memphis, where he had 22, 2, and 4. He shot 4 of 6 from 3 in that game. Last season, his season high was 20 points. It was a win against Detroit, where he went 2 of 4 from 3 and 9 of 15 from the field. Scored 20 points, 5 rebounds, 0 assists, 3 steals. And then we had the game tonight in a absolutely shocking game from Kason Wallace. 27 points for Kason Wallace. 27 points. He had 6 boards. He had 2 steals. This was an absolutely mind-boggling game. If you were to say, hey, somebody on the Thunder tonight is going to have 27 points, how many guesses would it have taken you to get to Kason Wallace? I don't know that I would have. I might have just say I give up before I said his name, just because he does it so rarely. But very impressive game from Queso.
Yeah, I mean, 27 from him, considering, the season-long kind of slump, I guess, that you would say he's been in, is pretty absurd, especially on, this national stage. They needed every single one of these shots. I thought he really simplified it tonight. Like, he came out, he clearly had a plan to either shoot the 3, drive to the rim, or pass the ball. There was none of the in-between stuff, that they've kind of tried to help him navigate through, where he's functioning in the high post and making decisions. I thought that when he got open looks, he took them. He drove the ball well. and he was aggressive getting downhill, and it led to free throws, which we don't see a lot out of Cason Wallace anymore. And overall, it just led to a really, really nice night.
Yeah, it was very impressive. And he was driving the ball. He played with just supreme confidence, which is really what the Thunder needed in this game, was to just have somebody come in and make shots like that. Shea was unbelievable in his own right. I mean, he looked like the MVP in this one, in a game where, excuse me, I did not think that really anybody outside of Peyton Watson played like super well. I think role players hit shots for the Nuggets and their shooting percentages look good, but not a good Jamal Murray game, not a good Jokic game, but it was an incredible Shea game, who 34 points on 16 field goal attempts. He did get a lot of free throws. He shot 11 of 13. He made 1 3, which was a step back 3, when it just felt unfair that he would make that shot. 13 assists, 4 turnovers, 2 steals and a block. Shea was the MVP in this one, and I think it's a statement win for sure. Everybody has circled this game, and I know that the Nuggets are missing a ton of guys. The Thunder are also missing a ton of guys. It would have been awesome if everybody was full strength, but I felt like they were missing kind of equivalent players in this one. So I don't know that it was like, oh, well, the Nuggets are missing these guys, so it's like advantage Thunder. We've seen how the Thunder have played. We all saw how the Thunder played against Minnesota, and it felt like the whole world was out for them that night. It didn't really matter. So I do feel like there were like equivalent players out for each team. And Shea just like rose to the occasion, looked like the MVP. I think it's always good to play like this on a Sunday night, because there's a ton of conversations and commentary around what happened over the weekend. And I think this Thunder win is probably like at the top of the list for a lot of shows and for a lot of writers. So it's good timing for Shea to have this kind of game.
Yeah, I mean, touching on the energy perspective, it looked like they were saving their energy against the Timberwolves for this game. They played with a lot of force tonight. I felt like both teams really came out with some pop. And then, yeah, as you said, I think Shea looked like the MVP. It really felt to me like he beat Jokic at his own game. Like, we're used to seeing this kind of precision and this like surgicality from Jokic, where he's just like pinpointing the exact holes in the defense and navigating through it flawlessly, be it getting into shots or setting up teammates. That was Shea tonight. Like, he took everything that Denver gave him. He got even more than that via his absurd shot making, and he set up his teammates who tonight were hitting shots, and he got 13 assists. I mean, you talk about statement game. I think you can have a statement game, without this necessarily having like postseason implications. Like, are you going to say, hey, the Thunder can go beat Denver because of this game? No, you wouldn't have said that had they lost this game, but it can still be a statement win in terms of, hey, they showed fight. Hey, they showed energy. Shea showed that he can be absolutely far and away the best player in the world, and they can get this thing back on the tracks, because I mean, 3 losses in 4 games was not ideal. Some of the things that they've shown offensively and even defensively this season have not been ideal, but tonight was a night that none of that mattered. And I agree. I thought it was a statement win.
Yeah. With the stretch that they've had, I mean, they lost like 2 of these gimme games that were just frustrating to see them lose against the Pacers, which was lack of energy. We saw them lose to Toronto, lack of energy. We saw them, they beat the Pelicans, but then they lose to the Wolves with what looked like a lack of energy. And I think that is really frustrating to watch this team play like that. And then you start to like, as a fan or somebody watching the team, like you start to get in your head a little bit, where you have the trade deadline that's a week away, and it's like, oh my gosh, there are a lot of people in my mentions that think that they should make some big move. And then I'm telling people like, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't even think that they should. And people are thinking that I'm a crazy person. And I'm just, listen, like they can still have games like this. The Cason Wallace game, I was trying to like show what an aberration it really was, because he had only scored 20 points 2 other times in his career. It doesn't mean that like Cason still has a higher offensive ceiling than what we've seen from him. I think that this shows that he clearly does. Like the ability to not only make that many threes, but for him to take those kinds of threes, I think is really, really important for this team. And I think that the fact that he could take 11 in a game and be that hot from three, I think is very impressive and something that like we really kind of needed to see. He had a great night, and it wasn't just the 3-point shot. Like he had it going, getting to the rim, and it just kind of opened up everything for him. And so like just seeing this was like, oh, okay, he does have that in him. He's also just willing to take a backseat offensively a lot of nights, and he didn't do that tonight. So I think it's super important to like keep that in mind. Also, just keep in mind who the Thunder are missing still. I don't think anything big is going to happen at the trade deadline. We can talk about that a little bit later in the show, but you know, we have guys on this team that can still kind of blow up with Case and Wallace. Chet Holmgren, All-Star, Chet Holmgren. DP, what was your reaction and thoughts on the All-Star reserve selection for Chet?
Yeah, it's well deserved for Chet. You know, this ultimately came down to the coaches around the league, and there was little doubt, at least in my mind, that they were going to vote him, you know, one of the most impactful players in the league. They have to game plan around a 7'1" shot blocking 3-point shooter that is fluid and can guard on the perimeter every single night. Of course, he's one of the most impactful players in basketball. So I know that people like to shy toward offense for the All-Star game. I think the Eastern Conference picks this year especially show that. But I mean, Chet Holmgren couldn't be more deserving of the award, just given how impactful he is for the Thunder and just at basketball in general.
Yeah, it's cool. The Thunder, he's the 7th Thunder player in franchise history to be named an All-Star. They've had 24 total All-Star selections in 18 years, which if you needed to know a little bit more about how spoiled you are as a Thunder fan, like that spells it out for you right there. 24 All-Star selections, crazy. 7 from KD, 8 from Russ, 2 from PG, 1 from Chris Paul, which is a sneaky one, which I'm sure a lot of people forget. That's a trivia question if you're ever thinking about it. Is Chris Paul making the All-Star team for the Thunder? Shea obviously has made 4. J-Dub made 1 last year, and now Chet Holmgren is an NBA All-Star. Yeah, very deserving. He's a classic unicorn that protects the rim at a very high level, shoots threes, can shoot it from the mid-range. I thought that he really kind of showed a lot of his versatility offensively tonight in the game. And I think he's going to continue to grow as an offensive player as he really develops go-to moves and figures out what he is within this offense. And you know, with J-Dub still missing time, we don't know exactly when he's coming back, but my guess is that we're going to still have a pretty good look at what this team looks like with Shea and Chet as like the two-headed monster here. And Chet, I thought was good in spots tonight. I thought that he helped him go on a couple runs. I thought defensively he was spectacular. The Nuggets only shot 41% in the paint tonight, in large part due to his defense at the rim. And so I do think that Chet deserved it. I know that maybe there's some people out there. There's obviously, if you're a Rockets fan, you think that it should be Şengün. But you know what? You know who says you're wrong? NBA coaches say you're wrong. So in your face, Rockets fans. Let's see. Daniel Sinney gives us a super chat. He says, I know he didn't make them, but Chet needs to take 7 threes more often. 100%. I think a lot of it's about the attempts. He's a good enough shooter to make a good percentage of his shots, and they didn't fall tonight. I think it's totally okay. I think it helps keeps the defense honest. I think that it's something that needs to be worked in a little bit more. I'm totally with you on that. I want to see more attempts from Chet. Just like I talked about the attempts from Kaysen, just like getting 11 is huge for him to just get 11. Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, the line wasn't necessarily sparkling for Chet tonight. Like 14 points on 3 for 10 shooting overall, and there was a little bit of defense that was spotty here and there, but overall, it was an impactful game. And I think that's just what you get when you put Chet Holmgren on the floor. Like, it's not always going to look great, but he's almost always going to move the scoreboard in the right direction. I agree with the 3-point shooting. If you're getting 7 3-point attempts from Chet Holmgren, that's probably a pretty good shot quality night, I would bet. Like, he maybe took 1 off the dribble late in the shot clock, but other than that, these are good looks that he typically hits. The one he did hit was huge. It cut into that run that Denver was making. So I thought Chet was good. 3 blocks. He had the one across the paint on Jamal Murray. That was absurd. Just a great, great player.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool to see the Thunder get two guys. And Royce has tweeted about this. Like, it's for a team that has the winning percentage the Thunder do, most of those teams get two guys. And like that's just kind of how it works. And it's not that they had to get two guys. It's usually that teams that are this good have more than one great player on them. And the Thunder have multiple great players, including Chet. J-Dub, I think, will be a multi-time All-Star. It's not been his year, certainly with just like the luck of his injuries, but I think he'll be back and will be a multi-time All-Star, and I think Chet will as well. It'll be really interesting to see, though, if they're all three healthy in a season, if we get three All-Stars for the Thunder, which I think is totally possible. I think just like the injuries and all the energy stuff has really caught up to them and have been like the big reason for the slumps that have happened. But I do think like Chet deserved to be an All-Star. This game was kind of tight through one. I thought we were kind of in for like a maybe one that goes down to the wire. The Thunder were up 32-26. I was a little worried after the first quarter because the Thunder had shot it so well to start the game that like, okay, we've kind of seen this before with the Thunder where they just are shooting lights out from the start of the game and then they kind of fall off a cliff a little bit shooting the three ball. Clearly that did not happen. They ended up hitting 19 threes on the night, which is pretty rare for OKC. And the Nuggets percentage wise shot better from three, shot better from the field than OKC, but they did have 3 more threes. They shot 10 more shots than the Nuggets, which is always the goal, is to win that possession battle. So yeah, this was obviously not a tight one. We got to see some minutes, 3 minutes from Brooksy and Usman Jang, and you know that's what you hope to see up in Denver.
Yeah, there were a couple times that Denver made their runs, and that first half was, especially close. It, like you said, it felt like we were in for a classic at that point. The hoops were really, really high level, and then Denver makes the push at the end of the second and midway through the third. And I thought Oklahoma City just played with a lot of poise, like from the top of the roster through the bottom. Like there were times that, Aaron Wiggins was creating offense, and there were times that Jay Will was stepping into pretty steady threes, and even Hartenstein on a night that, he's still obviously working back from injury. He had these big moments of impact where he grabs a steal and pushes the pace. So they just kind of hung in there against a really, really good team. And again, that's just exactly what you want to see out of this Thunder team at this point. Like, yeah, things haven't been phenomenal, but nights like tonight where you can hang in there, you can battle through these huge Denver runs from one of the best teams in the league with one of the best players in the league, that really kind of keys you in that, this Thunder team is still ultra talented and still, one of, if not the best team in the league.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you kind of looked ahead at the schedule, especially after they dropped the games that they did recently. Like, oh my gosh, like when are they gonna lose like 7 of these games is kind of how it feels before the All-Star break. But getting a win like that, you're hoping will kind of carry over through the rest of the schedule before the All-Star break, because they have Orlando at home, second out of a back-to-back. They go to San Antonio for a late game that is on ESPN. They have a couple days off, which is nice. They did not have that at all in January, but they have 2 days off, and then they play Houston on Saturday afternoon, 2:30 tip on ABC. That's kind of a fun one. Then they get the Lakers on the road, and then this is kind of weird. So Lakers on the road, Suns on the road, and then they come back and play against the Milwaukee Bucks on Prime. Gosh, there's so, I feel like the Bucks on national television just way too much. And I think that Prime is probably hoping that we're talking about, Giannis being on another team, and maybe we're watching Draymond Green in a Bucks uniform that night or something. I don't know. But yeah, it kind of felt like, oh my gosh, especially after that Wolves loss. It's like, man, the Thunder might lose 4 of these games, but I don't know. They should be feeling confident. I mean, the Magic have struggled a lot Like they should be able to win that one. San Antonio is going to be a tough one. I just think it's a tough matchup for OKC, especially without other creators. I thought they did really well against some of their last matchup, but they had AJ Mitchell in that game. And I think that he's incredibly important to what they do. And then against Houston is going to be tough as well. But it's good to grab this one for OKC for sure. Just to get a little bit of confidence. They still sit at number 1 in the Western Conference at 39 wins, 11 losses. They're 5.5 games up on the Spurs. They are 6 games up on the Nuggets now after beating them, and 7.5 up on Houston, who's in 4th. So the Thunder are still sitting in a good spot, despite what it's felt like recently. The Thunder are still the best team in the league. They are, let's see, they're up 1 game in the loss column to the Detroit Pistons. So yeah, the Thunder are still in great shape, despite the negative feelings that they've had before this Nuggets win.
I think it's to a lesser degree because of the injuries, but this is still a team that bounces back well. I would say, like, they've had the spurts where, they didn't lose back-to-back games or rip off these losing streaks. Again, I think it's been a little less, like, obviously, the down December stretch and then this 3 losses in 4 games that we've seen recently, but they've still turned around. And after losing twice to the Spurs, they rip off 4 wins. After losing the back-to-back versus the Suns and Hornets, they rip off 5 wins. After this little spell, they come out and they beat the Nuggets by, however many. I think they still show response. Like, this is not a team that's ever going to roll over. They don't like losing. Like, I know that that's not a novel idea to basketball fans, but they didn't want to come out and drop this game. So I think you can look at the schedule and you can pick it apart and say, that one's going to be tough. That one's going to be tough. But at the end of the day, like, they're going to bring the energy when they need to. And I think this was a good showcase of that.
Yeah. They also got a good lift off the bench from guys like Aaron Wiggins, who had 14 points tonight, 3 of 6 from 3. Isaiah Joe was 3 of 9 from 3. He had a lot of really good looks tonight. I feel like he could have easily made 5 of those 9. I thought that he had some great looks. And then I thought that Jay Will and Kenrich both contributed well. Kenrich played well enough, I guess, to get the halftime interview, which was funny and awesome that he got to do that. Some of it was maybe just because of his energy, and some of that could have been just like, hey, Kenny, the other guys are tired. We need you to go. I don't know what that was about, but the Thunder bench I thought was quite good tonight.
Yeah, again, Aaron Wiggins, there were at least 2 different times where they threw it to him late in the shot clock. He would have Nikola Jokic defending him, and he just went and created offense, which has really, really been like the missing piece to this Thunder team over the last month or so. He turned complete non-factor situations into 6 points, which in a game like this is just absolutely massive. You touched on Kenrich. He had so many energy plays. I don't know how many rebounds he finished with. The box score says 2. There's no way he didn't have more than that on that one possession.
Right?
He had 5 on the one possession. He was absurd. He had all the energy plays. And then Jay Will, 4 stocks, 4 assists, 5 boards, 8 points on efficient shooting. He hit 2 triples. There was some hot and cold stuff from Jay Will. There always is. He can be, a little overzealous as a passer, and he's not, just an absolute premier above the rim defender. But to get production like that from your 3rd big in the rotation against an MVP level guy and a huge, huge body in Valanciunas, I just think that's a really stellar night.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was great. Peyton Watson really had it going against the Thunder, which if you are scared of the Nuggets, one, they need to get healthy too, just like OKC does. But if they're fully healthy and Peyton Watson can play like this is a scary team. Like they did not have this version of Peyton Watson in the playoffs last year. And so adding a guy like that to your squad is pretty terrifying, because there were times during the playoffs that they just wouldn't play him. Like they just refused to play the guy. And the fact that he can go out there and play 37 minutes in this one, they kind of needed him to, but he did it anyways. 37 minutes, 29 points, 5 boards, 3 assists. He did have 4 turnovers, but he had a steal and a block. And he yammed on Chet That was insane. And then he attacked him too. There was another possession where in transition, he just like put his body into Chet to create space and scored on him, where like he's just not afraid at all. And so like if you do have fear of the Nuggets, which I think is a healthy fear to have, like Peyton Watson, like adding to that is part of the reason why I think that maybe the Nuggets have enough juice this time around to beat OKC, just because of his improvement.
Yeah, his breakout has been something. I mean, the Thunder's game plan early in this game was basically to leave him open, and they quickly reverted from that because I think he hit 3 straight shots to start the game, and he had the crazy dunk, and he's just such a big body. He's so quick. He's athletic. His development is like one of the biggest success stories for the Denver Nuggets right now, because this is a guy that, you know, he was a highly touted guy coming out of high school, but he averaged 3 points in college on like 30% shooting from the field. Like he was a huge project. Like he was a talented guy, massive project that they weren't ever sure was going to line up with Nikola Jokic in this version of the Nuggets. So, I mean, like you said, he's a huge piece to this contention puzzle for the Denver Nuggets. And man, if he's playing like this every night, they're going to be a really tough team to beat when they have all their guys.
Yeah, for sure. Not tough enough tonight, Nuggets. The Thunder beat you. That was really fun. We're going to take a quick break. We come back. We'll talk about some trade targets. We'll talk about the upcoming schedule a little bit more. We'll be right back. And we're back after that quick break. I want to tell you about my friends over at Ring Family Dentistry. Ring Family Dentistry takes a straightforward and honest approach to dental care. Doctors Phil and Brennan Ring believe in keeping what's healthy, fixing what's not, and only replacing what truly needs it. No pressure, no upselling, just clear explanations, thoughtful recommendations, and decisions that are always up to you. Ring Family Dentistry is a true family practice with a laid-back vibe, modern tech, and high-quality work, including same-day crowns, even for your front teeth, plus implants, bridges, root canals, and clear aligner therapy, all offered in-house. Call to schedule your appointment today, 405-621-1555, or make an appointment online at ringfamilydentistry.com. All right, we do have a super chat, which will lead us to some trades from Roy Donk. Shout out to Roy Donk, KTT. Wants to know, Oos for any of Sharp, Clowney, Gay, or Horford? Okay, so let's talk about the Nets guys first. Daron Sharp is a pretty straightforward trade. I don't know what the Nets want with Oos is like part of the question here. Like, would the Nets really swap out Daron Sharp, who is a nice player? He's not like fully in the rotation all the time for them, but still a nice player that I don't know that they would want him straight up for Oos. You'd probably have to include some kind of pick situation, I would guess, for him. But he's a guy that is big bodied. He's a decent passer. He's got a little bit of skill game, doesn't shoot threes, but I don't know. What do you think about Daron Sharp, DP?
I like Daron Sharp a lot. I feel like he's kind of early career Hartenstein-y in terms of the passing that you touched on. Like there's development to be had, like you said. Like he could certainly stand to be in that rotation a little bit more, especially for a team that's won, 11, 12 games to this point.
Yeah.
I don't think there's no way that would be straight across. They would want quite a bit more, I would think. Otherwise, they just hang on to a pretty good blossoming piece in Daron Sharp.
Yeah, there's a team option for next season at $6.2 million. So I don't know if they would decline that. I don't know if they'd pick that up. I think they could use another center just based on like injuries that they've had to their bigs this season. But is Daron Sharp? This is the question that for everybody that they could acquire, that you have to ask yourself is this player going to be okay if they don't play at all? Like, is Daron Sharp going to be okay? And like, maybe that's a silly question. Maybe that feels like a silly question, but you don't want to disrupt a good locker room. And like what the Thunder have right now, like I promise you, is a really good locker room. Like there's not guys that are pouting or upset with their role. Everybody understands their role. And like that is an incredibly important thing. And maybe Darren Sharp would be totally cool just waving a towel during the playoffs. Just like be in the playoffs would just be cool for him. But also this is a guy that's fighting for his NBA career as well. And he's going to need minutes in order to get like the next deal that he wants. And so I do wonder about that. The second guy, Noah Clowney, I just don't think they're trading Noah Clowney. Like he's been legitimately good for them, unless you're willing to include like either a good first or, and in fact, like Noah Clowney makes 3.3 million. I mean, he literally makes double what he makes. So you'd have to include somebody else in order to make that work. Oh man, maybe Tyrese Martin and Clowney, which I mean you'd have to attach assets because like Clowney is just like straight up a good player
Oh yeah,
for them. He's
he's their best defender probably at this point.
Yeah, he could be. He can shoot it from deep. I just don't see any reason why they would do this.
And even more, he's a guy that like they drafted, like with the Michael Porter Juniors of the world and the Terrence Manns. It's like these guys have been in here for 2, even 1 year in MPJ's case, and they're probably on their way out at some point. Noah Clowney's a guy that they drafted, that they've developed, that they obviously believe in. So I think that's a little different than some of these other maybe more fire sale guys.
Yeah. Mo Gay out of Atlanta. Are you a fan?
He's interesting. I'm never too big a fan of guys this tall that shoot this poorly from the floor, but there's some interesting stuff going on.
What are you interested in?
He's tall.
He's tall. He is tall.
He's
That's
tall.
true. He also makes 2.2 million, which it's complicated to do those kinds of trades with the Thunder right now. Because I don't think you could just swap him for Oos. Like you'd have to ask, there'd have to be more there. And it's like, okay, who is that? They already traded Veet today. Maybe you could get Case Wallace's brother, Keaton, in celebration of his big game. Trade for his brother. But I don't know how they complete that trade. I don't like that kind of deal. I don't think that moves the needle at all. Just like shuffling deck chairs. Like there's no reason to do a trade like that. I don't think that he would even play in the playoffs given the opportunity. Like I think that you'd just rather play Kenny at center than somebody like that. And then Al Horford. I think it's possible that they look for a new home for Horford. I don't know if they're actually going to get in the Giannis sweepstakes. You hear murmurs about how the Warriors are maybe making the most aggressive push for Giannis at this point. You even hear things like they could be in position to get him. If that happens and Horford is still on the team, they're not trading Horford, but there's probably a circumstance where they do. And there's obviously relationship that exists with Mark Daigneault now Horford. That's good. Shea played with him during that bubble season. And I think the relationship there is good. I think he would be a very valuable player that has championship experience, that can play in a pinch, that you may want to give like 6 minutes a game to. I don't mind this at all. As long as he's just insurance and not a guy that's going to play a lot. You would think he's not going to be a problem in the locker room, old Al Horford, but I also did not think Gordon Hayward would be a problem in the locker room at all. And so, again, Oos is not a problem whatsoever. He's fine, doing whatever. With these veterans, you better make sure that they're okay. Because I do think that like part of the Thunder losing that series to the Mavericks was there was some disruption that existed with Hayward out there. Like I don't think that was necessarily good. And Presti even talked about how careful you have to be with making these trades. And you never hear anything bad about Al Horford, but I just think you have to be a little bit cautious there And then also, if you're Golden State, like I don't think the trade works straight up. So you'd have to figure out like what other salaries that you'd have to attach in order to get there. And like they're not trading Will Richard. They're not Seth Curry's on a minimum deal. I don't think they do that. Quentin Post actually plays for them. I don't think they're trading the Thunder Trace Jackson Davis either. I don't know how you actually get this deal done. Trace Jackson Davis and Al Horford works. But if you're doing that, now we're talking about attaching a low level first. Probably not. Probably multiple seconds at this point, I think, to convince the Warriors to do this. Because I don't even know that Oos plays for the Warriors at this point either. So it's just it's complicated. You can't just do Oos straight up for Horford. Like you have to include other things, and then the Thunder are taking on more money as well, which eats into, I think they'd be over the tax at that point too. So like there's so many reasons to like not do this particular trade. But I don't hate the idea of Al Horford, I would say.
This one's also tougher because the Warriors want to win. Like we're talking about the Nets and the Hawks and these teams, like they would welcome a project like Zhang. The Warriors, they have no use for that player, and any assets you attach would be flipped to go get a guy like Al Horford who can be a potential rotational piece. So I like the idea of Al Horford. I'm typically pretty averse to getting like, veteran big men that are only going to play spot minutes. I just don't feel like that works out very often. But Al Horford, you can at least take solace in the fact he's a smart player. Like he just reads the game very well. So even with like the less athletic version of Al Horford, you're going to get this high floor player that can impact the game. So I don't hate the fit, but all the reasons you touched on it, it's just such a hard deal to get done.
Yeah. I'm trying to even think who else in that like $6 million range makes sense. I mean, everybody likes to talk about Kevin Love, and I think that the Jazz can take on a little bit more money. It's like the Thunder could trade Oos to them, and you're allowed to send $3 million in trades. And so technically the Thunder could just say like, hey, we will give you Oos and $3 million if it's, and this all has to go through ownership. Like this is where, like we talk about like owners mattering. Like some owners will gladly pay that to help get trades done. Some owners are like, we're just not doing that. Like we're not giving $3 million for trades. Like we're just not going to do it. I don't know where the Thunder sit this year with that kind of thing, but to bring it up, like the Thunder could technically just say like, hey, we'll send you Oos, $3 million for Kevin Love, and the Thunder basically pay for the rest of Oos's contract. They've already paid out half of it anyways, and so you can essentially pay for the rest of the contract, and then bring back Kevin Love, who it's basically the same idea as Al Horford, championship experience, a guy who can shoot it from deep. He's actually had some moments this year. He had a podium game this year. I don't think he's impactful. I don't think he can play the level of defense necessary to be a Thunder player. The guy literally has gray hair. I just don't think that this is impactful at all. I think this is a basketball imagination type of move. And perhaps he'd be a guy that's good for the locker room, good to have around. Just like another veteran, maybe you can steal 2 minutes in a game where Isaiah Hartenstein's in foul trouble and he can just go out there and rebound the ball and throw outlet passes. But as far as like Kevin Love being an impactful player on a playoff team, I think that ship has sailed, and it sailed long ago.
Well, and to your point earlier, if that really is the case, which it is with a player like Kevin Love, like is Kevin Love going to give you 15 minutes a night en route to a back-to-back championship run? Of course not. It's not going to happen at this point. If that's not the case, and if that's not the case for even Al Horford and Mo Gay and all these Nets players,
yeah,
why do it? What's the goal here? Like if you're not upgrading in a meaningful way, I go back to your earlier point of Ousmane Dieng is, the guys like him. He plays his role well when he's in the final 5 minutes of the game when they're up 20, down 20. Like he's a beloved guy in this Thunder locker room. So I just don't know that these fringe moves, are needle moving. Not that anyone is saying they are, but I don't know.
I would rather trade for another Jazz player. I think Svi Mihailuk is not necessarily even a guy that would play a ton for the Thunder, but just like another like wing that can shoot the rock. He's been on the Thunder before. I think that there's some affinity for him that exists. And you could trade him. This would save the Thunder some money and add a player that I think is more playable in the playoffs. I think Svi is more playable than Oos in the playoffs. Not that he would have a big role, but I think like if it's, hey, Wiggins doesn't have it going, Joe doesn't have it going, Kaysen isn't scoring 27 points in this game. Like, can we throw Svi out there for 2 minutes and get him a 3 to see if he can shoot it? Sure. He's also not like some high level defender and is not even probably a good defender. But I do think like he's a guy who you could throw out there and just like have a wing. He's got a couple years left on his deal. Like I think he's easily movable, if you don't want him in the summer. To me, I'd rather have a guy like that than Kevin Love. Am I crazy?
No, I think I just lean 3-point shooting right now in general. Like the bigs are there's such a monopoly on them right now. Like everybody has all the good bigs and all the other ones just really aren't worth like trading assets for. If you can sign them, great. But a guy like Svi who, he's shooting in the ballpark of 40% on good attempts and he can really get hot. I mean, Thunder fans know that, maybe not better than anybody, but they know that at least. So he's a guy that I think to your point, you can, once you go through the Rolodex of who's hot, I think you can roll Svi out there and see if he's got it. And if he doesn't, there's no sweat off your back.
Other players in the $6 million range. Are you into John Conchar? Are you a Conchar guy?
I wouldn't consider myself part of the Conchar club.
Okay.
he's fine.
Yeah. Not worth
No.
talking about any more than that. Let's see. Najee Marshall is another interesting one. Now he makes $9 million, and a guy that people are throwing around as a trade deadline target. I don't necessarily think he's a target for the Thunder. And if the Thunder did get in on this, you'd have to. So Oos makes $6.6 million, and then the hard thing with the Thunder making trades like this is that they're low salary guys, which are often just like minimum guys or guys you can throw in. The lowest salary guy is AJ Mitchell, who makes $3 million. Then the next lowest guy is Thomas Sorber at 4.6, and then the next guy is Nikola Topic. So we're talking about like 3 valuable players for the Thunder that you would not want to give any one of those guys to the Dallas Mavericks. And so then you'd have to go like back to the drawing board and say, okay, if it's not Oos, are you trading Kenrich Williams for him? Are you trading Jay Will for him? Like this is where I kind of reach the level of like, I don't think it's possible to do a deal for Najee. I don't think that they would trade Kenrich for him. I think Kenrich is very important to what they do in the locker room. It does work for the Thunder financially. It does put them into the tax, which I don't think that's where they want to be. So for like a host of reasons, I don't think they would do this, but I do think that Najee Marshall is a really good player. And like he would be in the rotation for OKC almost immediately. But also he's another guy where you have to ask the question, is Najee going to be happy playing a small role for a good team? And I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. I think he's established himself as a really good rotation player in Dallas. And I just don't know that he would be very happy being in OKC as like the 9th or 10th guy off the bench.
Yeah, he's interesting. To your point, he would absolutely be in the rotation and he would play.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really solve anything for Oklahoma City. Like he is not a prolific 3-point shooter, great defender, but I mean, they've got tons of great defenders and he's got size, but Kenrich Williams is big and they've got these other, wing defenders. So I just don't know that he solves anything while presenting the financial challenges of adding him. So I agree. I think he's carved out a nice role with Dallas. I think other teams would be happy to get him. I don't know that Oklahoma City jumps out as a destination to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other places that you could send Oos, or because I just have a hard time believing that, like, one, they would trade any of their lower salary guys that I mentioned, and AJ, Sorber, Topic. Like, I don't think they'll trade Sorber or Topic until they know more of what they have in these guys.
Mhm.
They haven't played any NBA minutes. Casey Wallace is not on the trade block for the Thunder. Jay Will is outrageously important to just like the culture of the team. Aaron Wiggins also holds a lot of like cultural importance for the team and is on such a good deal that I just don't think you could trade it, at least today. And then everybody else, like Isaiah Joe, is important to this team. And then I don't know. I don't think you're trading any of these other guys. Not to say that like they're going to just like hang on to them forever. I don't think. I think the team will change this summer. But when you have a team that's won a championship, you have to be really careful about what you do with it, especially in season, because like you could upset the balance of the force kind of thing with this team. And I do think they have something really good going. And if they can get healthy, which feels like a really big if right now as we sit here on February 2nd, it feels like a big if for them. Um, but I do think that's within reach for them to get healthy before the playoffs. And if they're able to do that, I think that they have as good a chance of repeating as anybody's had in recent NBA history. Um, but I do understand like people wanting them to make a move. It's just hard. It's hard to make a move when you have basically like one salary that you're willing to move, or at least from the outside looking in. Like that feels like the only salary they'd be willing to move, at least at this moment, is the Oos salary. And it kind of limits you to the kind of players that you're open to taking back. So it's just a little bit more complicated than it has been in Thunder years past, where maybe you'd have like more minimum guys available. But there's also like I know that like it's good to have Oos around. I just also wonder too. A lot of times when trades get made, it's because like agents are trying to push for their client to be moved to a place that is better for their career. And so like there may just be a hey, there's a career move for Oos here. The Thunder brings somebody back that they don't intend to keep. They waive them. This happened last year. They waive them and then they bring up a Carlson or somebody like that. And maybe Carlson is like going to be just as impactful as a big as somebody else that they could acquire anyways. And they know him, he fits the culture, like all of that. So like I still think that that's on the table too. But I do think there's benefit in like getting used to a place where maybe he can play a lot the rest of the season and then maybe get another contract. So the Thunder do keep a lot of stuff like that in mind. The Thunder deeply care about their team being successful, but they also like care about these guys' careers. Like I can tell you, like there's a lot of joy for a guy like Josh Giddey who's played well in Chicago, you know, around the Thunder organization. Like they're excited for him. Like they care about those things. And so I do wonder if like there's like a hey, we want to give Oos an opportunity somewhere else before he actually gets out to restricted free agency.
Yeah, you talk about all the locker room stuff and the kind of off the court chemistry, and there's tons of merit to that, obviously. Like that's part of the reason why this whole project has been so successful. But trading for players and trying to fold them in from an on the court perspective is really hard too. Like these fringe moves, maybe not so much, but I mean, when you talk about these other major moves, are you going to be able to get back to, you know, like the 100% version of this team if you fold in a starter or even like a sixth or seventh man who's taking up a chunk of minutes that they just haven't played with? Like that factors in a ton too, just in terms of, you know, changing the on the court chemistry and the plays that they're running and the style that they play. So it's just immensely hard to do, especially in February. Like you talk about this, if you make a November deal and you have all this time to make it work, great. You've got only a handful of months at this point to make this thing work. And you have to do it quick, and you have to do it with guys coming off the injury report, getting added back to the injury report. So logistically, it is just, it's this thing that, you know, people do and they say, hey, this is fun and this is fun, but there are so many moving parts to it that it just makes it a logistical nightmare at times.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally true. It is really hard to do in-season trades, especially like these teams don't practice very much.
Yeah.
Like NBA teams don't practice in the season very much. It's hard. It is hard to find times to like practice a lot. And so it is difficult to incorporate guys. Daniel Sinney in the chat, or maybe it's Daniel's innie. Maybe it's referring to his belly button. I don't know. Gives us a super chat. Thank you for that. He asks Dort and Topic plus 4 firsts for Trey Murphy. He's the only trade I can see that makes OKC much better. Shea, AJ, Trey, Dub, Chet is the best 5 in the NBA. I mean, it sounds really good, Daniel. I will say that. It sounds really good. So Dort makes 18. Topic makes 5. Excuse me. I do think that gets you there. Topic is considered a first in this one, basically. I mean, it's essentially like sending over a first. So you're sending Dort and 5 first-round picks for Trey. It feels like a lot. It probably depends on what picks it is that you send over. Certainly. One, the Pelicans have to be willing to play ball with these kind of deals. This is like basically like a Desmond Bain type of return that you'd get. I do love the value of the contract that Trey Murphy is on. Dort's going to have a team option on his deal in the summer. Trey Murphy has 3 years after this left on his deal at 25 this year, 27 the next, 29 and 27 and 31.4. I don't see any options on those. So like that's a really, really good deal for a guy that's as talented as Trey Murphy. I think Trey Murphy fits the culture of the team quite well. I think the guys would love hanging out with Trey from all accounts. Yeah, I don't hate this idea at all. I think that we're talking about like changing your team right away. Trading Lou Dort, and trust me, I know there are challenges to playing basketball with Lou against Dort. When he is like your release valve and the ball sprays out and the ball is consistently finding the hands of Lou against Dort, it is challenging. And it's challenging to sit on your couch and watch it sometimes. I get that. He also provides energy that very few players in the NBA can provide. He's very much a part of the ingrained culture of the Thunder. I don't know that they would trade him at the deadline. I'm not saying that this is a bad idea. I'm not saying that I can't believe that you would suggest this. I can see why this would work. Trey Murphy's a good defender. He's an awesome shooter. He's a great personality. He's got all that. But I don't know that the Pelicans are ready to trade him. And I don't know that the Thunder would give up this much for him. I mean, this is a lot. I mean, this is a Lou Dort plus trading a lottery pick in Nikola Topic, who hasn't played at all. There's also the aspect of like Nikola Topic is coming off of cancer treatment. Are you really going to trade him right now? Like trades can be cold-hearted by nature, but like trading a guy who had just completed cancer treatment with your team to New Orleans, a team that is notoriously horrific with their medicals and all of that, that to me feels like extra cold-hearted. And maybe that is not a factor in your mind. I promise you that is going to be a factor in the minds of OKC. Like they're not going to make that cold-hearted of a trade. I don't think. I would be a little surprised if they did. Also, I think they really like Topic as a player. It's like this is a lot. Now, maybe there's certainly other ways to make a trade for Trey Murphy, but I would be shocked if we are here on Thursday doing an emergency pod about the Thunder getting Trey Murphy. Would I be excited? Absolutely. How many seconds would it take me to talk myself into a trade like this? 0 seconds. Be very excited about it. But I think for a host of reasons, this is probably not happening.
Yeah, this is steep, and that's not to say that it's not what they would ask, because it might be. The thing I always go back to with Dort is, like you said, like there's the hot and cold moments, of course, but Mark Daignault has said, and I don't remember when he said this, so I can't verify my facts, but he said that they like to play Alex Caruso as a rover because of the point of attack defense that Lou Dort adds. Like they don't have to play Alex at the point of attack as much because they can do that with Dort. And same thing with Cason Wallace. He can rove and get these steals and clog lanes. And that's because of the three-headed monster that they've created. Now you say, oh, well, if they trade Dort, they've got these other options. Yes. But that also trickles down to the fact that now AC can't play the way he wants to. Cason has to take that. And now you're down a good defender. Like I get the appeal of Trey Murphy. I think it makes you a way better offensive team just immediately. But there's also a lot more to Lou Dort than meets the eye, I think.
It's true. And trust me, I've had Lou Dort conversations about trading him almost every single year. Daniel wants to clarify. It won't happen. It's just the only move that I do. I would not like say like that's dumb or like you shouldn't want that. Like I think that that's a very logical thing for a Thunder fan to want, like a tall wing shooter that can play the 4, that can play defense, that shoots high volumes of like 3. Like it all makes sense. Like I don't think that's crazy. The Thunder just certainly view things out of the box, and that's they are intentionally trying to be out of the box with the way they think about things. And I think they value what I have been calling defensive superstars. I think they value those guys highly. And Dort, for all of his faults, is a defensive superstar. As is Cason Wallace, as is Alex Caruso, as is Chet Holmgren, as is J-Dub. I mean, all those guys are defensive superstars, and I think they want to have as many of those guys as possible. I don't know that Trey Murphy is a defensive superstar. I think he's a really good defender. I think he is versatile because of his size. I don't think he's a defensive superstar. But I do, however, think he'd fit with OKC, and I understand why anybody would want him. He's a delight. And he's a guy, too, that can dunk the ball. He's another guy you can throw lobs to. So, like, it's not just the threes. It's a guy that can kind of diversify your offense to a degree. So, yeah, like, I get it. Like, I totally get it. But just also don't forget what Lou Dort did in the playoffs for this team. Like, the guy has no fear. We don't have any knowledge on what kind of playoff player Trey Murphy is. We just don't know. It's all theoretical at this point. We know that Lou Dort is ready for the moment. Like he's a guy that can play in the playoffs. There is just no question about that whatsoever. So I do think like we have to be they have to be cautious in so many ways. So all right. Anything else, Derek, before we get out of here? I appreciate Derek just joined me on a whim here. Michele is out sick. I had 2 co-hosts out sick recently. Alex is on the mend right now. He was gone for Slam and Jam on Saturday. It was just me and Sam Vecini. If you haven't listened to that, would love for you guys to go listen to that. It was fun. It's always fun talking to Sam. Derek, anything else? Any other trade suggestions before we get out of here?
I don't think so. My favorite Ousmane Dieng landing spot as the leader of the Dieng fan club would be Washington, because he would get to play a lot.
Yeah.
They value defense. He'd get some reps on offense. They don't have a lot of handlers. He'd get to do some of the fun skill stuff. So Wizards, make the call.
Zards. I was looking at matching salary. I didn't really see much there.
There's probably not. There's probably nothing there, but it's fun in my brain.
Let's just get him there. If you are unaware, which I'm sure most of you are aware, Derek Parker has a YouTube channel at Derek-Parker, where he covers the NBA draft, and he's very good at it. And these videos are must watch if you care about the NBA draft. So I would suggest subscribing to his YouTube channel, again, at Derek-Parker. He's also doing the OKC Dream Team pod with me. We actually did another one about this Denver game. If you want to hear more about it with me and Derek and Brandon Rabar and Rylan Stiles, that's over on patreon.com/OKC Dream Team. He also does a weekly show about the NBA draft with Rylan. That's really good that you guys should check out. Yeah. Anything else, Derek? I'm sure. Oh, you write a lot too. Tell us about your writings.
I be writing at Thunder on SI, at NBA Draft on SI, and a few other teams, which I'm sure Thunder fans don't care at all about. One being the Nets, so that's why I'm so familiar with the Dayron Sharps of the world.
There you go.
I would just say on the YouTube channel, the last player I did a scouting report on, Joshua Jefferson.
Ooh,
my favorite pick for the Thunder so far this year. He's pretty thundery, so go check that out.
He is. Oh my gosh, he has so many Thunder traits. Good defender.
Yeah.
Good passer, good size, and an absolutely streaky shooter.
Yeah. He checks all the boxes.
He possesses every Thunder quality. Older guy, but like I like him a lot. Bassini and I talked about him for the Saturday show quite a bit, and he's super interesting to me too. Yeah, go check that out today. All right, hope everybody's doing great. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys again on Wednesday.
Until the dawn, until the dawn.